prosper our deliberations to the advancement and true welfare of the people of the council area, our state and Australia. Amen.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Byrne.
We acknowledge the traditional owners of the land upon which we meet today, the land of the Willakali people, and pay our respects to their elders past, present and emerging.
Councillor Chandler.
We take time to reflect, remember and honour the over 800 miners that lost their lives and those that were crippled or maimed in the line of load. We thank the brave miners and their wives who were part of the 1920 strike that lasted over 500 days and delivered a 35-hour working week. Mining is our past and future.
Thank you, Councillor Chandler. The first public forum session of 15 minutes duration will consider submissions from the public regarding matters listed for consideration at this meeting and also on general matters. The public have been advised through notices on council's website to register by 4 p.m. today if they wish to address council during the public forum session. The members of the public have registered to address council will be given preference, and then if time permits, anyone else present in the public gallery may address council. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes. We have nil registrations. Does anyone from the gallery wish to speak on any matters? No? I thought you might have got up, Ros, just to say how nice the netball was. All right. Oh, no, well, thank you for that. Minutes for confirmation that the minutes of the ordinary meeting of the council of the City of Broken Hill held 28th of May 2025 be confirmed.
Move the minutes.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate, speak to those minutes. Do we have anyone wishing to speak? All those in favour, declare them carried. Disclosures of interest. Do we have any disclosures of interest? Any items? No. We have nil mayoral minutes, nil notices of motion, nil notices of rescission motion, nil reports from delegates. Item number 14 is committee reports, Infrastructure Environment Committee on page 20. The Broken Hill Library Project June 2025 construction update. We have a mover for that. Move Councillor Gillett, seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Gillett, you'd like to speak to that?
Development is looking wonderful. Can't believe how much work is being done, and to see the budget here is even better. So we're looking good.
Thank you. Any other speakers? Look, the library project's going. Councillor Allgate, you'd like to speak?
Yeah, I'd just like to say that I can concur with Councillor Gillett. It's good to see the library progressing the way it is, and I mean we were all well aware of what can happen and what did happen with the Civic Centre, and I think the approach that the council is taking now, a really structured approach with the processing and getting people to do work for the council is starting to pay off and pay big dividends at the same time. All of the capital works that we're seeing developed in the last 6 or 7 months have been on target, on no cost overruns. Everything's been fine, and that is pleasing, particularly after the last debacle.
Yeah, so in mid-July, councillors there'll be a site inspection for all councillors, so they'll be able to see it, and you'll be explained why some of the reason that it's taken a bit longer than what was first expected, and that's to make sure that it's got good thermal conductivity to protect from, it'll result in better operational costs over a long period. So that'll all be explained when you do a site tour. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, terms of reference to Tidy Towns Working Group and Historical Unmarked Graves Project. That's on page 37.
Move the motion.
Move Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Turley. Councillor Allgate.
Yeah, I think this is a good thing to follow up. I don't think it's going to be as easy as some people might think. I can recall being involved back in the late 60s, early 70s, when the council did all of the hard records from the various churches and transferred them onto Fish. There was a problem with one particular area. The solicitor who was charged with the responsibility of recording the deaths in one particular area hadn't recorded any for 3 years, and there was no record anywhere when he passed away. So out in that area where the Afghan, the east to west graves are, how people are going to find out who's in what grave has got me. I mean, the best checking at the time, and maybe it is still now, was Brian Potter and his father's records. And even with Brian Potter's records, some of the graves were still unable to be, accounted for. So it's going to be a very difficult task, I think.
Yeah. Any other speakers, councillor Turley? You seconded it.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I think I agree with councillor Allgate. I don't think it's going to be as easy, but I think it's a great project. We're still have been lobbying for funding from the state government as well about funding for our cemeteries to recognise these unmarked graves, historical unmarked graves, and also restoration works. So hopefully one of the budgets we will get some funding out of the state government for it.
Hopefully this leads to some action. Councillor Byrne?
Yeah, just having a quick look, just remember at the meeting, did we decide on an option or did we were going to leave it up to tonight? I don't remember. What did we
I think
decide?
we went for the
Just not in
little
that
square one with the
Yeah, just
concrete long one with the
Yep.
yeah. Well,
option
yeah.
2. It's just not in there, that was all.
Option 2 in the council report at item number 14. So that you got to read the it's in the other bit. Yeah, not just at the first. So just to go on from what Councillor Allgate was saying, so there's a group of ladies with a few gentlemen that were out at when the police were out there to acknowledge one of the policemen that died around 100 years ago, and they actually have identified a number of graves, and they were interested in just putting so you wouldn't get that many, so we'll have a lot of graves where people know where they are before we get to the graves where we don't know where they are. So they did a lot of investigation to find some graves that were unmarked and in different areas, but they were really interested. And this just gives an opportunity for some of the graves that are unmarked that we know who they already are.
I'll just add to that there was a period when Brian Potter and I went into the area of concern, the Afghan section, and barred the graves to see if there were actually coffins in them. And quite often there were coffins that had been used for burials, but no record whatsoever. And that was the case for 3 years.
Yeah.
So, when there's no starting record, I don't know how you're going to.
No, but there's lots of graves out there that are unmarked now. They're actually in they have the records. We know who the graves belong to. They're just unmarked.
Sure.
Like they've got no physical marker there to say that who's in it. So this is more about putting a physical marker on the graves that have no physical marker, just so they're not just a mound in the middle of where there's headstones all around the areas.
You're talking about thousands.
Thousands, that's
Thousands,
right.
right.
So we can only start with what we start with. And as Councillor Turley said, if we get funding, we'll increase those numbers. And if you do it for 100 years, then you have to start somewhere, even if it's only 15 or 20 graves a year. It's 15 or 20 graves a year that are being marked that weren't marked. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 on page 47, Project Consultative Committee Project Steering Group Meeting.
With that recommendation.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Allgate, like to speak to that?
Yeah, I've said it before, when this type of report was first submitted to the council. As far as as far as I'm concerned, this is probably the best, one of the most informative reports that councillors will see. Not all councillors know. I think most councillors know what works under progress and whatever. But this report on a regular basis gives us the status of all the capital works, where they're at, whether they're on track or not on track. It's a great report, and it's something that the public, if they read it, will just have it's sort of eye-watering what the council has actually done. And I think that the contributors to the report should be congratulated.
I do agree. Councillor Byrne?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, echo what Councillor Allgate said there. It's a great little committee, that one. And yeah, the reporting's top notch. So congratulations has to go to all council staff involved in that. Like, they are high quality and they do give some very good information.
Any other speakers? Just for interest for people that may be in the gallery, it does have things in that report, such as when the car park at the airport will be started. Has other projects in there. They include the welcome signs that will be there. So it is a really, as Councillor Allgate and Byrne said, it's a really interesting report and well worth reading if you actually want to know what position those projects are at. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 15, reports. Item number 1, correspondence report, William High School rebuild. Do we have a mover for that? Move Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Allgate. Councillor Byrne? No, just that it is progressing well, and do really appreciate the input that the Honourable Peru Carr, Minister for Education and Early Learning, did have in that. So, thank you.
Yeah, I do actually. Just to also, obviously with the news that we won't be seeing Minister Peru Carr for a while due to illness, that we probably keep on top of who's going to run these projects, because we don't want, things falling by the wayside and things not happening.
Yeah, we've already been in contact with the person that's taken over, but for us, it is a loss not having Peru Carr in that position, because she has ensured that for Broken Hill, we actually have, she has kept the pressure on to make sure we can at least get the best we can.
I agree with what Councillor Byrne said. Peru Carr, his reply to the Mayor is probably one of the more positive replies we've got from the Minister on any subject for quite some time.
Yeah, well, as a council and as the education working group, we did send our best to Peru in her time. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 2, correspondence report, redundancies at the Southern Cross Care Broken Hill. We have a mover for that. It's on page 149 for the gallery. Move Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Gillett. Councillor Byrne?
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. Yeah, I've had a read of this letter, and I've also spoken to some people who are involved in, and obviously this is unfortunate, and thank you for supporting the motion and sending the letter. Do appreciate it. I know that council has limited things that we can do in these situations. I'd just like to point out that probably the letter is pretty not a lot of truth in that letter, if I'm honest, and from what I'm hearing, and it shows that within a week of people being made redundant, there was an advert on Seek for admin staff. So yeah, there's not much more we can do about that, but thanks for the support and motion last meeting.
Do we have any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 3 on page 153 is transition to food and organics and garden organics BOGO legislation requirements. Mover for that.
Move the recommendation.
Move Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate?
it's all about meeting the legislative requirements for the council, and everything's covered in the report, nothing to report.
What is of a little bit of a concern there is because they have acknowledged that different circumstances will be taken into account for different areas. They acknowledged what we had to say. People need to understand we've been in Defogo now for around 20 years. We certainly don't need a state government that's come along saying that we're not doing it right when we've been the ones that have led the way in with that. So we need to continue to push to make sure that they do understand what we do in Broken Hill with our fortnightly collection has been more than enough for at least 90% of people. Most people now, as you drive around, do not put their green bins out even in the second week. So they will be putting a impost on the council that we know is beyond what people need to pay because a weekly service for Broken Hill is not warranted. What we could potentially do, and maybe we should, the general manager would like to follow up, you don't need a motion, the people that do want the weekly service, perhaps we could, they could be put on a list to be picked up. But we certainly don't want to put an impost on the community where you are adding additional garbage compactors to pick up or supply a service that just isn't used. So they need to take that into account. In the correspondence, they said they acknowledged that it works really well, and they've done studies that says that it will reduce this. Well, we've done a 20-year in reality study, in practice study. It's not a theory, it's something that we've been delivering for 20 years, and we know exactly what works in Broken Hill, and we know exactly how it works and how people use it. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 4, on page 156, electoral funding obligations of the elected councillors and mayors. We have a mover for that. Moved Councillor Chandler, seconded Councillor Gillett. Councillor Chandler? No. Anyone speak on that? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 5, adoption of the draft community strategic plan 2025 review on page 160. We have a mover for that.
Move the recommendation.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Allgate?
Well, as the report says, it's a very important report, and it's quite lengthy. It's one that we all should read from start to finish. You know, it's the overarching policy that fits in with all the other policies that we've got underneath. So, you know, if you don't get this one right, you don't get the rest of them right. So I think it's worthwhile reading. There's a hell of a lot in it, and you need time, but I think it's a good report.
Thank you, Councillor Allgate. Councillor Byrne? No. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 6 on page 209 is the draft delivery program incorporating draft operational plan inclusive of the statement of revenue policy and draft schedule of fees and charges for 25-26. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Chandler. Councillor Allgate?
Yes, I'm happy to move this recommendation, the recommendations as listed. I mean, one of the most important aspects of this report is the fact that the rates and fees and charges are incorporated, and it needs to be spelled out to the public. But on this occasion, we've transferred 1% of the council's total rate to, in addition to the mining companies, with a 1% extra. And in doing so, we were able to not increase the business rates that the business people have been hit quite hard over the last few years, and it's an opportune time to give them a bit of relief while still providing sufficient funds for the council to operate in the manner that the council expects. So all in all, I think it should be received fairly well. Nobody likes to have a rate rise. And unfortunately, we're all well aware of the fact that every time you go to a supermarket, the price, what was the price yesterday for an apple is not the same today. And that goes for everything, material things in particular. So, and services. So I think it's a good result all round, and I hope that the public receive it as such.
Councillor Chandler? No, right. Yeah. Any other speakers? Just be noted that there was only 2 submissions, one from Wise and one from a business. So there was no submissions from the mines. I do note with the mines, it was a valuation that moved most of the money in a direction, and council took advantage of that. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 7 is the adoption of the draft long-term financial plan, 26 to 35 on page 352. Have a mover for that. Moved councillor Chandler, seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Chandler?
I think the executive done a good job on it. Yeah, it's good.
Councillor Byrne? No. Look, it's moving along nicely. Council over the last few years have really got into a position where financially we're doing really well, meeting all required benchmarks, which is really good. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 8, adoption of the workforce management strategy on page 396. That's from 25 to 28. We had nil submissions. Do we have anyone like Councillor Allgate, seconded?
Move
Yeah.
recommendation.
Councillor Chandler? Seconded? Oh, you just got Councillor Allgate, you'd like to speak to that?
Not really, just to say that there's a hell of a lot in this report, and some stuff that I didn't know about, and so we can always learn. But it's a policy that we have to have, and it's up to date. So I think we're going down the right track.
Councillor Chandler, you're right. Do you want to turn your mic off, or I'll keep on getting you for a seconder? Any other councillors? All those in favour, declare it carried. Item number 9 on page 432 is the draft local orders policy for public exhibition. We have a mover for that. Moved councillor Turley, seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Turley?
Mr Mayor, it's pretty self-explanatory.
It is. Councillor Byrne? All those in favour? Declared carried. The draft local approvals policy for public exhibition, page 455. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that.
Councillor Allgate, seconded. Councillor Gillett, Councillor Allgate? Thank you. All those in favour? Declared carried. Item number 11, draft artificial intelligence framework policy on page 508. We have a mover for that. Move councillor Byrne, seconded councillor Gillett. Councillor Byrne?
No, other than the fact that it's good to see that we're moving forward, AI is going to play a big role in the future in this world, and the things that it can do are amazing, but there's definitely some securities and concerns, and the things that it can do can be used for good and bad. So it's good to have a good policy and strong framework around it.
Most definitely. Councillor Turley?
My only question, Mr Mayor, is that if the councillors could have some training on Copilot, really, because it's one of the formats of council, so it'd be good for us to know the opportunities around that. But cybersecurity and AI is going to be one of the biggest challenges that we will find in the future. So pleased that we're starting to put strong policies in place.
We'll do that, councillor Turley. Any other speakers? Councillor Allgate?
I'll just say, as if life is not complicated as it is without this particular move. you need to be young and you need to be an electronics engineer to know what's going on.
Well, it's meant to make it easier. So when you push on it, you just say, whichever AI you got, you just ask them to do it all for you now.
I'd
You
agree,
won't even have to do it. You tell them to rock up to the meeting for you.
I'd agree with councillor Turley. We need training.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 12, draft community assistance grants policy for public exhibition on page 516. Move councillor Turley, seconded councillor Gillett. Councillor Turley, you'd like to speak to that?
No, just encourage the public to read the policy and if they feel the urge to give us a response.
Yep, that's the only way we know as councillors that if people do have a problem. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Draft Living Desert Master Plan and associated draft Living Desert plans for public exhibition on page 527. Do we have a mover for that? Moved councillor Turley, seconded councillor Allgate. Councillor Turley?
Again, just, I mean, I think all the councillors had the opportunity to visit the Albert Kirsten Mining and Mineral Museum. I think the strategic plan is critical for a way forward. And again, it's on public exhibition and we encourage those to read it and to provide a response if the urge, comes.
Sure. Look, the Living Desert is one of our most important assets, and so we need to get it right if we want to. I knew what you meant, councillor Turley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Clearly, it was. I'm out of tune because it's a Monday, not a Wednesday.
Well, it does feel strange. Would you like to speak about the Living Desert, councillor Turley?
Yeah, I'd
So
love
you've been
to.
on it.
I think this draft plan, there was incredible consultation with all the volunteers and with council staff and with the users and the community. So again, as we get to the public exhibition, I encourage people to take time to read it. They're very passionate about the Living Desert. It provides one of the best tourist spots for Broken Hill. And but there's much more that it can do. And I think this new plan will provide a big picture for the future. Thank you.
Great. Any other speakers? Councillor Allgate?
I just concur with what councillor Turley has said. It's a great asset to the council. And as councillor Turley said, there's a hell of a lot of expansion can take place out there in many different avenues. And this report sort of sets that as a base generally. So I think that's a good start off. And, over time, that particular area has been developed progressively. And that really needs to go on to the next steps.
Yeah, I think councillor John Simon, or former councillor John Simons would have been really proud of what's out there. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item 14 is the Broken Hill City Art Gallery Strategic Business Plan 25 to 28 for public exhibition. That's on page 728. Do we have a mover for that?
Is that way?
Move councillor Allgate, seconded councillor Gillett. Councillor Allgate?
I think it's an excellent overall plan. It covers a lot of the things that the council has talked about over the last few months. So once again, it's a document that can be relied on, and if it's followed to the nth degree, everything will be great at the art gallery. And but in saying that, I say everything is great there now, but it'll only get better.
Thank you, councillor. Councillor Turley?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend the councillor briefing on the 10th of June. And I noticed that changes that were requested at that meeting have been put into the strategic plan. I wonder, it's not highlighted what those changes are. I wonder if you could just point them out.
Could point them out to you. So one was to do with extra women's art. There was a figure given to increase by a percentage each each year. That is just to increase the overall exhibition rather than give a target figure, which makes it very difficult to attract. For example, if you only get a number of pieces of arts and artworks from women during the year and it doesn't meet the 10%, then you fail on your key indicators. So the key indicators are just now increase the percentage of women's art across the 3 years. The other one was where it was mentioned about colonial art. That was changed from colonial art to Australian and European art.
Okay, so just as you said, the percentage for women's art increased
So,
rather than decreased?
so in one of the key indicators for the increase in women art was for each year over 3 years to increase the size of the collection by 10%. It just, rather than have a figure there's no given percentage figure. It can increase by 20% or it can increase by less. It's whatever's determined by the Art Gallery Advisory Committee without a set figure.
My apologies, I was having trouble with my iPad.
They were the only two changes. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 15 is the draft Albert Kirsten Mining and Mineral Museum Strategic Business Plan 25 to 28 for public exhibition on page 779.
I'll move that way, Mr Mayor.
Move councillor, one councillor Turley, move councillor Turley, seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Turley.
As already spoken,
Yeah.
so again, I don't think I need to repeat that, but again, encourage people, particularly of that from the field of the minerals and rock collections, and also the art gallery has many collections there, to take time to read this new strategic plan.
Yeah. Councillor Byrne.
Yeah, this is one of my favourite little spots that I didn't know about until I joined council, and the 2 or 3 there years ago, a few weeks ago, was opened my eyes. I'm glad there's a strategic plan now moving forward for it, because it is a great little spot. I think it's underutilised. I don't think people visit as much as they should. You know, it's Broken Hills mining, it's Broken Hills metallurgy, it's Broken Hills minerals, it's our social history, and it's just a great little spot, and to have the staff down there as passionate they are is a credit to them as well.
Yeah, look, they just had the waste to art collection there, or exhibition there. It was out at the tip in the Lifeline secondhand shop. It looks so much better down there in the art gallery. It's a nice little gallery at the Geo Centre. It needs to be utilised as much as it can. Councillor Turley.
I was going to say, Mr Mayor, they actually, as part of the waste to art, they still hold part of it at the tip.
Yeah.
And the famous cello that won
Yeah.
several things might belong to me, but
Okay.
but that was
That was
at
a
the
nice-
tip and
nice
got
bit.
upgraded to the
Yeah.
to the museum.
Yeah, it does look nice there. It really showcased the art that was on display, and it really looked like an exhibition. The problem with the tip shop last year is it's so spread out, you don't actually get to see the art as a whole. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 16, the investment report, May 2025 on page 824. Councillor Allgate, moved, seconded.
Move recommendation.
Moved, seconded. Councillor Byrne. Councillor Allgate.
Well, I think we've all said it before, the council is in really good hands in terms of its cash flow, its balances and all the rest of it. You know, there have been so many external pressures in this last 4 or 5 years. It's unbelievable, and yet the council is still travelling quite well. And whilst there's been some movement within investments and whatever, all in all, we're still budgeting for a surplus, whilst we're doing lots of work in the community, and the people are seeing the work that's being done. And we're still heading at this stage, heading for a small surplus at the end, and that's good news in anybody's language. The staff need to be congratulated again.
For sure. Any other speakers? Councillor Byrne.
I'll just leave it for Councillor Boyle not here. It's one of his favourites and I probably can't do it any justice. So we'll leave it at that one.
Look, that people should be proud of it. All councillors and all staff should be proud, particularly the financial staff, considering we've stayed at rate pegging the whole time. When you have other councils that get a lot more revenue than we do, that have increased rates by 80 and 100%. So for a council the size of ours to stay within rate pegging and never go beyond that is a credit to all involved, and the community should be proud of it. I know that the local government minister is proud of a lot of regional communities because we don't go beyond what we should be, and we try at every turn to keep costs down to the community and at the same time provide a service. So everyone in this room can be proud of what we've achieved as a council. All those in favour? Passed unanimously. Item number 17 is the minutes of the Audit and Risk Improvement Committee meeting held May 15, 2025 on page 839. Moved Councillor Allgate. Seconded Councillor Byrne. Councillor Allgate.
No, I'm an observer on that committee, and I suppose the most notable discussion during the meeting was the volume, the size of the reports, and there was some criticism about that. But all that said, the information, you can't make decisions without the information. You have to have the information, and the information was provided. I suppose the only comment I'd make in criticism would be it'd be nice if we got the information many weeks before, because I think it was 500 odd pages, 400 or 500 pages. But having said that, all of the points that were raised in the meeting were dealt with. From what my understanding is, the new chair is quite happy, and some of the old stages they're more than happy with what's happening. So far be it from me to criticise anything else.
Just a brief one on that. So they were concerned about the amount of information provided.
Only one person was critical
Right.
of the volume and stuff. You can't read it all in the time you've got before the meeting. But then again, if you wanted to pick holes, you can't make decisions if you haven't got that information. So my only comment would be, as I said, if the minutes would be produced earlier, you might generate more discussion at the next meeting, rather than be hit with 500 pages. I mean, it didn't bother me because I didn't have the time to read anywhere near all of them. I flicked through everything, but there was lots to do. But it was only one senior member that was.
Any other speakers? All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 18 is the minutes of the Broken Hill Education Working Group meeting held May 14, 2025 on page 856. Do we have a mover for that? Moved Councillor Byrne, seconded Councillor Chandler. Councillor Byrne, you'd like to speak to that?
No, it just looks like it's a well attended committee. I still do note that there's been a couple of meetings there where the education department hasn't been represented, so hopefully that changes soon.
It is moving in a much better direction. There is people that I've spoken to do feel like there's more consultation coming out of the Department of Infrastructure at the moment than what there was, or schools infrastructure. So for that group, we'll just keep on pushing what we need to push to try and make sure that we continue to get all we can. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 19, request to waive the fees, Sulphide Street Railway and Historical Museum on page 864. Do we have a mover for that?
Move that line.
Moved Councillor Allgate, seconded Councillor Gillett. Councillor Allgate.
Well, it's only $43 per tonne of waste. And I don't think the Railway Museum has great volumes of waste. So it's a simple matter to waive the fees in this particular instance. They do a lot of good work. The Railway Museum proves very popular with all of them, particularly once the walk tours go past. Many of them come back to the Railway Museum. So the little bit of help that council can give them should be appreciated.
So there'll be about 100 tonnes of rubble to be removed, so it's about $4,300, which is nothing considering the amount of work they do. But what people do need to realise is there is a considerable amount of work to be done down there to make sure that that building is saved. There is a considerable amount of work, and as a council, I think being one of our best tourist attractions in town, that's only wise. Any other speakers? Councillor
Just so I
Turley,
support
then
this.
Councillor Gillett. Councillor Turley, you go first, and I'll go.
Yeah. Just that I support this motion, Mr. Mayor, and I think you're right. It's again, a tourist thing. I should add, and I had a quick discussion about this before. I will be voting, but there's no real conflict of interest, just that my husband's a volunteer there. So
Yeah.
there's no conflicts of interest, but I think when groups like this discover unexpected costs when they're working hard to maintain the assets for the city, that I think our council would be right to support them.
Agree totally. Councillor Gillett.
What I'd say is that Ben Bloomfield, who is the manager of Northern Movers, they're always looking for rubble, old bricks, cement, between their truck.
No, you can't. You've got to take it out. So you can't just yeah. There's potential for contamination. Might not be, but there could be. So unless you were getting it all checked, and which they wouldn't, because it end up costing you. All those in favour? Declared carried unanimously. Item number. Forget that. Item number 20, minutes of the section 355 Broken Hill City Art Gallery Advisory Committee held on April 22. Moved Councillor Chandler, seconded Councillor Gillett. Councillor Chandler, anything you'd like to speak about?
No, everything's going pretty well down there. We're sort of sorting out. It's a good committee and could be dedicated.
Councillor Gillett? No. Any other councillors? All those in favour, declared carried unanimously. Item number 21 is the Broken Hill Art Gallery Advisory Committee held in May on page 875. Do we have a mover for that one? Moved Councillor Gillett, seconded Councillor Chandler. Same thing, Councillor Gillett. Nothing to... Any other speakers? All those in favour, declared carried unanimously. Item number 22, minutes of the 355 Committee, Ageing Well Committee, held in May on page 881. Do we have a mover? Councillor Allgate, seconded.
Move the motion.
Seconded. Councillor Gillett. Councillor Allgate.
Yeah, the committee deals with a lot of problems that confront them. But the biggest problem that I see is the lack of attendance at virtually all of the meetings. You know, there are so many service providers in the town, and to make the committee function properly, you need representatives from the bulk of them. Otherwise, you're really wasting your time. But you know, I know the council is pursuing this, but it's the same old problem. People who are providing they're competing for the same work, and it appears that they get pretty protective about their own little patch, and I can understand that because that's what life's all about. But it'd just be so much more value if all of the people involved in aged care if there are representatives attend from the majority of them. You'll never get them all, but it'd be good to have a lot more.
Any other speakers? All those in favour? Declared carried unanimously. Item number 23 is Youth Advisory Committee meeting held 13th of May 2025 on page 888. Do we have a mover for that? Move councillor Turley, seconded councillor Chandler. Councillor Turley, you'd like to speak to that?
No, Mr Mayor, I think the minutes are outlined for people to read. I think for any of the committees at the moment, it is about getting those representation to attend, but that meeting, we had good representation, so it was a very successful meeting.
Excellent. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 24 is the Picton Sports Ground Community Committee meeting held March 800 on page 895. Councillor Byrne, you move that? You want to
I'd like
add
to
to
move
that?
add to the recommendation as well, if that's okay.
Yep.
And that fifth to the recommendation that after the 355 committee meeting for the Yama Oval or the last meeting, that we acknowledge that the user groups with only being 3 people represented on that committee won't be enough to be able to, for that committee to function properly, and that we would like council to go back out to the general public looking for better community representation.
So just advertise for an increase in community representation. How many were you thinking to ask for?
Let's just see how many we get on it, because I don't think we're
So-
going to get.
Yeah, just so we just put out for.
Yeah, just put
community
out 4 just to see what we can get.
We have a seconder for that. Second, councillor Chandler. Speak to that.
Yeah,
Councillor
look, there's it's just the representation we get. It's obviously it's the same old people. It's they're doing multiple committees, and they're doing a very good job, and it seems to be not really popular with the younger crowd because it's always seen as the older guys looking after that kind of thing. Well, especially with the Yama Oval, we're going to be looking at having 3 guys who are on multiple committees. And if 355 takes up back over that, they're going to be expected to do, whip a snip the outside and pick up rubbish and things like that, which they're just not, some of them just aren't physically able to do. So looking for better representation there. Obviously, this is one of the better ones. The Picton Oval, they've got good representation, and that oval down there is a nice little complex, and it's always kept tidy, so it's credit to that committee.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 25 is the Picton Sports Ground Community Committee meeting for May, on page 900. Do we have a move for that? Move councillor Turley, seconded councillor Byrne. Councillor Turley?
No, I don't think
Same.
you need to speak. It's just minutes. Thank you.
All in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 26 is also the Picton Sports Ground June meeting. We have a mover for that. Move councillor Byrne, seconded councillor Gillett. Councillor Byrne, all those in favour? Declared it carried. Item number 27 is the minutes of the local traffic committee meeting held in for June. Councillor Allgate, move that.
Move the recommendation.
Seconded. Councillor Byrne, Councillor Allgate.
I wasn't in attendance at that particular meeting, Mr Mayor. But I noticed that parking is still a major problem around the town. One item was that Felspar Lane, I think it is, I've never heard of it. Motorcycles are kicking up dust and whatever out that way. I understand that's being looked at, but not having been there, I really not sure about any of the other things.
Oh, I see the also just the one just mentioned here was the recommendation was to contact the bus company to see if there was any objections to a bus stop being at the PCYC. Yeah. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Item number 28 is the action list. Do we have a mover for the action list? Move councillor Chandler, seconded councillor Turley. Councillor Chandler?
No, it's just going real well. It's been going real well for the whole year. It's good.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Questions taken on notice from the previous meeting, for the May council meeting. We have a move of that. That's on page 950. Move councillor Byrne, seconded. Councillor Allgate, councillor Byrne. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. 17, questions for the next meeting. Do we have any councillors for questions for the next meeting? No, just a quick one from me. If we could just acknowledge that the Daydream Mine, the owner of that, Kevin White, did come to me and just said that they have just been put in the top 2020 regional tourist attractions in Australia. There is no other New South Wales tourist attraction regional tourist attraction in the list. And we're second only to things like the Harbour Bridge and the Opera House. So I think that's a pretty good effort, and it's just worth acknowledging it tonight. No others? We move on to 18, the public forum session. The second public forum session of 15 minutes will consider submissions from the public regarding matters that were considered by council at this meeting only. Speakers are allocated 2 minutes each to address council. Do we have any members of the public? No. Move on to item 19, which is confidential matters. We have 3 confidential matters. Call for a motion to go into closed session. Move councillor Byrne, seconded councillor Gillett. All those in favour? Declared it carried unanimously. So if anyone does want to General Manager will read out the resolutions passed in closed session.
Thank you, Mayor Kennedy. Item 1, council report number 3/25, upgrade to airside pavement movement areas at Broken Hill Airport. Council resolved 1, that Broken Hill City Council tender report 3/25 dated June 18, 2025 be received. 2, that 4 tenders revised quotes were received and all tenders failed to meet the budgetary requirements of the tender. 3, that in accordance with New South Wales Local Government General Regulations 2021, Division 4, Section 1783E, council approved to enter direct negotiations with the preferred tenderer out of the 4 remaining tenderers being B&B Construction Proprietary Limited. 4, that subject to recommendation 3, a further report be provided the council following negotiation of proposed way forward. And 5, that the general manager and/or mayor be authorised to sign the tender contract and affix the seal of council if required. Item 2, Broken Hill City Council report number 1002/25. Consent to change of control lease to IOR Aviation Proprietary Limited at Broken Hill Airport, Part Lot 1, DP 124942. Council resolved 1, that Broken Hill City Council report number 102/25 dated June 11, 2025 be received. 2, that council note that subject to conditions, Stone Peak will acquire a 75% interest in IOR entities. 3, that council authorise the general manager to sign the consent to change of control form as attached to this report. 4, that all these conditions remain the same. Item 3, Broken Hill City Council report 127/25, proposed two-up agreement. Council resolved 1, that Broken Hill City Council report number 127/25 dated June 18, 2025 be received. 2, the council enters into a 5-year agreement with the Palace Hotel. Terms and conditions as per the two-up agreement as attached to this report, with the option to extend for a further 5 years. 3, that the mayor and general manager be authorised to sign and execute the agreement documents under the common seal of council. Thanks, Mayor Kennedy.
Thank you, General Manager. As there is no further business for council to consider, I declare the ordinary council meeting closed at